If they shot him with the taser and he fled under a car, first, why did they shoot him with the taser? So none of that's going to come into the court argument. The judge said that this case will depend on three things: the video, the quality of Oscar's resistance, and Mesley's intent. Well, first, it's not even clear that Oscar resisted. So by him allowing this 18-year-old incident into the argument, the judge said, well, that does show material information relevant to this matter because we want to know whether or not he resisted. Well, first, you have not investigated thoroughly whether or not Oscar was right or wrong in whatever happened in 2006. He can't be tried on that.
Why are they even talking about that?
Right.
The judge permitted it. Then he said the other major evidence is the video, but unfortunately, the prosecutors have not been heavy hitters when Michael Raines throws a fastball. Michael Raines, the attorney for Mesley, he's $1 million attorney, make no doubt about it. He's throwing everything at this issue, at this case, to confuse the judge, confuse the people, confuse the jury. That's really what he's doing. He's trying to bombard folk with a multitude of things to respond to. So every time they go in thinking it's time to have an opening argument, here comes Michael Raines with a new motion. Every time. Now, he said video, which we all have seen, is the key. So Raines said, okay, well, video is the key. I'm bringing a video expert. And my expert will put in live time the various videos that people will bring into evidence. So that 6 cameras will be synced together on a screen from 6 different camera angles and audio and all those things so that they're all running at the same time. Judge says, okay, that's a good idea. I can see the relevance of that. The DA says, okay. He just said, okay. He didn't say the city or the county has its own video expert. Why don't we bring ours to the table? He just said, okay. Then when the video expert comes, in the first introduction of it, there was argument that he can put the timestamps on the videos, but that he should not be permitted to interpret it. Well, he's already interpreting it already. Did they watch it in the court with him?
They did.
And the judge, oh, this is very helpful. And as I understand it, the video expert is not just putting timestamps and we're watching. The video expert is saying things like, you see, he's moving his hand as an act of aggression on the officer. It looks here like this one is kicking, and Oscar is kicking Tony Peroni in the groin.
Oh.
Now, be clear, we went through this at the preliminary hearing. And when we looked at the tape, there is no evidence that we could declare without clear sight of that at all. Worse yet, when did any officer report that they were attacked by anybody on that platform? Tony Peroni didn't even say that when it happened. He said in the preliminary hearing that his attorney showed him on a videotape what he thought was Oscar kicking him.
And not only that, he also said that had Oscar had not been shot or murdered, he would have just took their names and let them go.
Right.
So that just goes speaks to the issue that this interpreter or this expert that's interpreting the video has now turned it around where the young men on the platform were actually assaulting these BART police officers, thereby causing the chaotic chaos, bringing the chaotic chaos on themselves because Oscar punched him in the stomach, tried to knee him in his groin, and you can look at the video and you can see this. You can't tell how much of an impact it was, but you can see the hand in the midsection. You know, Never have it ever been where an expert has been allowed to interpret a video. They're normally there to assist you in understanding the time sequence of what happens in the video. But the judge has decided to allow the interpretation of this expert to come into play. And that has never been done before.
So now, as I said, the judge's eyes are fluttering.
Yeah.
Maybe he's trying to send a wink over.
So,
Yes,
so nobody. Okay, first of all, there should be an outright objection, because the only thing a video expert is supposedly there to do is to authenticate the video, to say that it has not been spliced, it has not been edited, it has not been altered. That's number one. Number two, was there any testimony given to explaining when Peroni walks away from the BART car and he walks up to one of the individuals and he immediately accosts this individual, pushing him against the window?
But testimony hasn't begun yet.
Okay, fine. Then number three, finally, the opposition, nobody's objected to this?
Was there an objection?
If I can say, every motion that has been raised, there's been objection to it, but the judge said, I will allow it. And just like the motion that recently been filed with Tony Peroni using the epithet, the racial epithets 3 times, well, Reigns has filed a motion to not allow that in the court. Now, based on the decision that has been made prior to this point, right, I would not be surprised if he says that is irrelevant to this case. I would not be surprised.
We're watching.
We're watching. And that's going to happen Tuesday. So he's got 2 new motions, just like Minister Muhammad was saying. 2 new motions. One is to exclude Safina as a witness, because he's figuring that she's just going to be redundant to what happened. And the reason why he don't want Safina there is because the jury may draw some sympathy to her and hear her more so than what he wants them to hear. So now he doesn't want her testimony, and he wants Tony Peroni testimony where he stated bitch ass nigger 3 times to not be played or allowed in this case. You see what I'm saying? Those are just the most 2 recent. But all the other decisions that this judge has allowed into the proceeding are unprecedented. He has allowed the interpretation to take place, which we now know that jurors are simple lay people that, based on their own visual, will have an understanding. But now it can be swayed by this expert saying what you really don't see in the video, but what's really happening is this. And then he goes on to say the punching, the kicking, Jackie attempting to hit miserably. You know, all of a sudden now the boys are the ones initiating the contact.
Well,
one more thing I want to say this before it's all over. You know, the issue about Oscar alleged situation when he was 18 years old. But see, we can't talk about the fact that Tony Peroni, 30 days prior, beat up an African-American male.
Right.
Not only that, he has complaints filed against him. Right. And then an anonymous tip came to me that he also has used a taser on the individual before Oscar. You know, and then we can go on to say, excuse me?
Mesley or Peroni?
Mesley.
Oh, you said Peroni. Okay.
Oh, I'm not Mesley.
Yes, sir.
All this is Mesley. Mesley has a history and a back. He has a history and he slapped a Hispanic female and got sued, right? But none of his history of his character, you know what I'm saying, can be brought into the court to say, hey, well, this is his character, which means that he's more apt to want to kill an individual.
What does that have to do with, what does Oscar's past have to do with him getting shot that night?
But the reason why they have that past in there is because they're trying to prove a point that Oscar, out of his character, automatically resisted.
This is why next Saturday, the opening arguments should have been completed by the defense attorney and by the prosecution. We want the entire community here next Saturday. This is not the coach. The jury should be selected on Tuesday, Wednesday.
But they're scheduled to do the jury, hopefully maybe Tuesday, because Rain's making these new arguments. The jury was supposed to be selected Monday and Tuesday. Now they got to hear these motions that Rain filed, which is going to be scheduled for Tuesday. Maybe part of the day that's left, they'll start doing the jury selection. And then on Wednesday, they claim to finish it up. But based on history of cases, in a murder trial, it is unprecedented that a jury can be selected in a day and a half or a day for a murder trial.